So with Boggleboard, so I'm going to fork it to my personal GitHub. I'm going to fork Tom Preet. It's going to copy it over to my GitHub account. It's copying. All right, Boggleboard challenge part 1, part 2, and part 3. So the goal of this exercise is to create a basic Boggleboard. If you're not sure what Boggle or its board looks like, please look at the Wikipedia. So to model the board generation, imagine how this might take place in the real world. For instance, in the physical version of the game, you would shake the Boggle die to randomly create a 4x4 grid of randomly generated letters. So this first iteration, we're just going to take care of the board shaking. So let's look at here. The Boggleboard class has one core instance method, shake. So let's see what this looks like. Let's actually first git clone it down here. I'm going to git clone. Try to get through this pretty quickly. So Boggleboard, def. Okay, cool. So we have a basic structure. We have a class, Boggleboard, with an init and a shake instance method. So what data do we need? What data do we need to access throughout the entire class? I'm guessing the board. So we probably need a board. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. So we don't really need to initialize anything. I'm sorry. We don't need to pass any arguments into the Boggleboard instance. So I can do like new game equals a Boggleboard, then invoke it. I'm just going to do pass because we're going to get errors if we don't. Pass. I know Noah did this yesterday. I think she did like a nested array of empty slots, of empty strings. There's multiple ways we can do this. I'm going to do it my way, but depending on how you did it will also determine how your other methods will look like. So I'm going to do self.gameboard, and I'm going to do an array of empty characters, or an array of underscores, because we want the Boggleboard, when it is initialized, to output looking like something like this. So that like each one of these, I guess, represents a single letter. And so I'm going to use an array. Some people have used just an empty string with 16 underscores. Some people used a nested array like that with multiple underscores to represent the columns and rows. But I'm just going to do this, and then I want 16, an array of 16 of these. To represent the 16 characters to represent the board. So 4x4, it's a 4x4 matrix, 4x4, 16. So we got 16. And I just want to print this board. Print self.gameboard. I'm going to come down here in the terminal list. All right, CD in the Boggle list, clear. I'm not going to write any test specs for this one for time's sake. CD, I'm going to Python, Boggleboard. So I have it 16. So now I actually have to make this grid or this array of 16 blank underscores to look like something like this. So I can I'm going to say, does it tell me to do anything? I have shake, smart Boggle board. No. Here it kind of gives, now it's kind of like up to us to decide the best architecture, what methods to use, what instance methods to use, what instance variables we want to use throughout this class to achieve an output like that with this 4x4 matrix. So I'm going to do def. I'm just going to print the board. So I want to print board self, because I don't need to take any parameters or take in any arguments, because this is just going to manipulate this self.gameboard in a way to make it look like this. So what I can do is I'm thinking of like looping through this and grabbing like the first 4, or how do I do it? Thinking I can loop through the array and grab, can I grab every 4? Every 4.
Okay. You could slice it if that's the approach. The other approach might be enumerate. And now you also have the index, and you can do something based on the index mod 4.
Okay. Yep, that's definitely one way to do it. I think I'm going to do for index in range. And then in the range, I'm going to start at 0 all the way to the length of self.gameboard. And then I'm just going to print the index. I just want to see what it looks like. Sorry, did someone say something?
Be self.gameboard, right?
Correct. Thank you.
And then would you just join it back in because it comes out as a string?
Oh, what the hell am I doing? Print. So now I need to do new game instance, and then print game board or print board, and then invoke that. Clear. I just want to see what happens. So we have 0 through 9, or 0 through 15. So it's 16. But I want to grab every 4. So the range from 0 through length of the game board is 16, and then you like do it, print out every 4. So we have 0, 4, 8, 12. And now with that, I can grab just the index. So index, I can like, I think you said slice it, kind of like grab those from index +3 or +4. So for index 0 +4, it'd grab index 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then it'd print that out, and then the next one would be 4. I can print 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then it jumps up by 4 again. It starts at 8, 9, 10, 11. So it prints those 4, and then it jumps 4, like jumps 4 ahead because it goes every 4. So the next one is 12, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 15 because it's got a length of 15. So now how do I print this? So I can do print self.gameboard in range of index. Is it? No, that's not it. It's not, because that's not a function. How do I do ranges? How do I grab a range of a game board, like a specific slice it?
I use .join
Okay.
to bring it back into the self.board.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that point. So I'm going to grab the index, and then the index +4, because it's grabs this 0 +4, and it's exclusive of 4. So we'll just print 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I just want to see what this looks like. So it's getting there. So this is index 0, 2 or 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I can, you said join. I can do
Join with an empty string on the front.
dot join like that. Let's clear it. What does join do? What is this join method?
It takes it and it brings it back in as a string and combines it together, basically, I think.
Okay. So let's see what that looks like. There we go. I'm gonna make it look a little prettier like that. So this join joins an array, and we can like literally, it's like D, and it replaces it with everything. But we want empty space, just I want some separation in there. Now, can we call this print self.print board? Can we invoke that? So we don't have to actually call it when it initializes. Cool. So right when I initialize it, it comes into here, initialize it, creates a game board of an array of 16, a length of 16 strings that are underscore strings. And then it calls this self.print game board, which comes down here, that runs this print board instance method, which in a range starting at index 0 with a length of the game board, which is 16, and it increments every 4. So it starts at 0, then the next one would be 4, then 8, 12, 16, and so forth, but up until that, the length of it. So 0, 4, 8, 12. Once it's in that index, it's going to print the game board at the index. So initial index is 0 through index plus 4. So it prints those, the current index in addition to the next 3 indexes. So then it just joins that, which is then an array, then it joins it together and it adds a space in between them. So that's what the print board method does. So now we invoke shake to output something like that. So how does shake work? So we're still going to, so we actually need the dice for Boggle. So the following is a list of Boggle dice with Q representing as QU. So I need, this is a representation of all the dice. So I can do self.dice equals, I'm going to make it an array. Whoa. Is there an easy way to do this? Print it. No. It's really not an easy way to do this. And why am I not? So I'm making this an instance variable. I'm going to just copy this over.
You can also command click and bring it all the way down.
So I've got all the dice in the game of Boggle board. So there should be 16 here. So I can actually test that. Well, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 dice. So now I need to shake. When I run this the shake instance method, it should output something like that. So, so this is where, so my thinking of, I can loop through each one of these, grab a random character from each, or a random letter from each index, and then print it out. Let's see this. So in shake, I'm going to do print self.dice. And then down here, instead of print board, I'm going to say shake. So I'm going to clear down here. So I'm initializing a new Boggle board game. And I'm doing new game.shake, and it should print out all the dice. I'm going to comment out the board because I don't want it to print the board yet. Down here in the terminal, clear it. All right. But it won't be that random. So if I just, so I want to grab a random die from each one. So I want this to be randomized.
I'm pretty sure you can use choose on strings.
Choose on strings?
I thought it was shuffle to shuffle the list.
Yep. So correct. I'm going to use shuffle to shuffle this list. And then I might use choice. I also might just use another method as well. So I first need to import random. And then instead of print, I want to shuffle this die and see what it looks like. I can random.shuffle die. So if I shuffle the die, it should be in a different order than how it's initially instantiated at. So let's see. None. Cool. Why is that?
Because it doesn't actually return anything. It rearranges the dice in place, so there's no return value.
Okay, so there is no return value. Just the shuffle just shuffles the array and it doesn't return anything. What if I return print? This might throw an error. None still. So
I worked around it. I created another variable called a roll, and then I picked a random number from and went back through the shuffled.
so if it's so it's not destructive. It's what is it? Or it's not destructive. So if I do shuffle dice, let's see if this works. So I've got HLNNRZ. So it looks like it's because it shuffles it in place. It doesn't return anything. Cool. So now the dice is shuffled. So if I ever want to access the shuffled dice, I can just grab self.dice. So in here, I've got the game board. Self-enumerate game board. And I want to loop through the game board. Yeah, I want to loop through the game board and grab and assign this value a random integer or a random choice letter index from each die. So I'm going to use the enumerate if, I'm sorry, for index space and enumerate self.gameboard. What if I do print index? I just want to make sure I'm using this method correctly. All right, cool. So I can grab, I heard random choice. I'm going to grab a random index. So I'm going to say Random letter, I'll say letter index. Letter index equals random dot rand integer 0 through 5. I'm going to print the random index or letter index because this letter index is going to determine which index to grab the letter from. So I just want to make sure. We have 5. Each die has 5. Is it 6 characters?
Yeah, the rand int is inclusive, unlike normal like range functions.
All right.
So you would need to stop at the actual. No, it's inclusive, not exclusive.
Oh.
So the random integer, you had it right at 5.
Okay. Surprised I'm not getting. Oh, I'm an idiot. Yep. Thank you.
You also, are you sure you have to pick another random integer because it's already been random when you shuffled your board up?
The dice is random, like this dice array is random, but in here isn't random. So if I just had one index, it would grab the same index all the time from each die. So I want to grab a random index from each die.
Sorry, I missed the step. My bad.
Very good. So now I need to grab the letter from that index. I'm going to self dot dice, grab the index, and then grab the letter index. Let's print that out. Letter, clear. Oh. Oh. Down here, I'm gonna, hopefully we get a bunch of random letters being printed out. Cool. GE, blah, blah, blah. Great. So now we can assign that game board. Where's the game board? The specific letter. How do I assign a letter at that specific index?
You'd pull up the array, in this case, the self.gameboard.
Game board.
And then brackets, and then you just put an index, and then you go ahead and press equal, and then
Like that?
this.
Awesome. Let's see if that works. Clear. All right, nothing happened. Great. Now, if I want to, I shake. Now I want to actually print this game board. So I can do print board. And let's first uncomment this out because when I first initialize it, I want to print an empty game board. And then when I shake it, I want it to look something like that. So clear. So there it's initialized. We print the empty game board. We shake it. And now we have that. Do we have any? Where are all the cues at? I'm trying to get a cue up there. Are there not cues in here? Oh, there's cue. So smart Boggle board created the shake method correctly. Now our board generating is nearly finished. We have one pesky little issue with the cue, with the representation of Q. So right now it prints Q, but instead we want to print QU on the game board. So it should look something like that. So you can simply, in our, right in between here, we can say if letter equals Q, we can reassign letter to QU. And I think that's pretty much it right there. How are we not getting any cues? There we go. Now it's a little offset, but who cares? Print the same game board. Does anybody have any questions of how? So what we did, we created a game board, which is an array of 16 underscore strings. We have the dice for the Boggle board game. Within our init method, we're initializing an instance method, which is this print board. So down here, so when we initialize a new Boggle board game, creates a game board right here, a variable, creates another dice variable, which is an array of 16 die. Then it also runs this instance method called print board, which comes down here and it loops through. So it grabs the index in a range starting at 0 with the length of the game board, which is the length is 16, and it increments by 4. So 0, 4, 8, 12. And then here, it prints the game, it essentially slices that game board from the index, which is 0, 4, 8, 12, and grabs that specific, it slices that game board array at the initial index, which is 0, 4, 8, 12, and then prints out the next 3 indexes as well. Then which is an array, then we join that array with a space. So we actually print a game board in a 4x4 matrix. And then when we call this shake method, we run random.shuffle, which we shuffle the dice, which is an array, which we grab right here. And it shuffles this array in place, so it automatically just changes that value. It just switches, shuffles the indexes of the die. We don't have to assign it a variable or anything like that. If you did, that's fine. And then we enumerate, we're grabbing the index. I've got the space here with the underscore because we're not utilizing it, and enumerate self.gameboard. We're grabbing a random index between 0 and 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the letter index. And then we're grabbing the actual letter from the dice at that specific index. So here's the letter index. Here's the index of the dice in the dice array. And then that's how we grab the letter. We test if that letter is a Q. If it is a Q, we just reassign the letter variable to QU. And then we assign that value at that index to that letter. Clear. See. I'm not going to go over the stretch goal. If you did Boggle Part 2, my intuition is to do a recursive check. However, the way I did it, and I've seen other people do it, is literally just loop through the entire game board and find all the possible 4-letter words and then store it into an array and then check against that array of all the possible letters or all the possible words. That's the way I did it. But yeah.